Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll be starting in a little bit, probably around 4:05, just to give some more people time to join the webinar. In the meantime, sit back, relax, maybe grab a nice warm drink or a pad of paper and a pen to jot down some notes. But otherwise, we'll be starting shortly. Thank you. Thanks for being patient, everybody. Let's go ahead and get started. My name is Sarah Moskel. My pronouns are she, her, and hers, and I am the Health Education Coordinator for NIU Student Wellness. Student Wellness is a part of Counseling and Consultation Services, and we help to provide health and wellness education to our campus and our campus community. Today we'll be talking about how to be financially prepared in this time of COVID. Being financially prepared as a college student on its own is rather tough. And so adding a pandemic on top of that make things even more hard. So today I hope we can really navigate those difficulties and those barriers, and hopefully you learn a couple things. I do want to preface that I am by no means a financial expert or a financial advisor, but what I do consider myself an expert in is wellness and setting goals and deciding to make a change in your life. With that being said, what I hope that you'll learn today from this presentation is not necessarily financial advice, but I hope that you'll be able to identify NIU financial resources and supports that can really help you right now. I hope that you'll be able to start to outline your personal finances. And what I mean by that is you'll be able to start thinking about your personal finances, reflect on them, and be able to describe them a little bit more. And lastly, I hope that you'll be able to select some coping strategies that can best meet your wellness needs. Because as we know, finances can be rather stressful. And again, adding COVID on top of that adds an even higher amount of stress. So what exactly is financial wellness or being financially prepared? Well, financial wellness essentially is the act of being aware of, understanding, and managing your personal finances. So there's a lot of pieces that are a part of that. So it's not just understanding what credit is or a loan or whatnot. What it is that you are actively improving your finances. So why is that important? Well, finances impact every aspect of our lives and every aspect of our wellness, our well-being. If you look at the diagram on the right, that is how we represent what we call the dimensions of wellness. And there's 7 dimensions of wellness, meaning there are essentially 7 categories that make up your overall well-being. And finances impacts every single one of those. Especially your occupational wellness, meaning your career, jobs, so forth. Of course, it can also impact your physical, your emotional, your social, intellectual, and so forth. So I'd like you to take a second and consider, how has money impacted you? How has it impacted your wellness? If you'd like, feel free to share that in the chat. Maybe others can certainly relate to how it has impacted you. One of the things I wanted to do is identify some of the ways that finances do affect us, specifically how COVID-19 has affected our finances. First and foremost is stressful, trying to navigate all the changes that COVID has brought, specifically relating to finances. And that could include job loss and unemployment. There could be a lot of uncertainty then around, where am I going to get my income? What if I lost my financial aid? How am I going to pay for my basic necessities, help my family, so forth? Perhaps you've had changes in plans because of COVID-19 affecting your finances. So maybe your academic plan journey has taken a different path than you originally intended it to. No one intended for us to all be online learners all of a sudden. And for those of us who aren't really online learners, that's a big change. And maybe it made you consider, should I take a gap year? Should I wait? All of this again, uncertainty, stress, so forth. And so your financial security, this maybe financial net you had, has been shaken, or maybe some holes have been cut in it. And overall, there's just a lot of distress surrounding it. So with all of this being said then, what can you do to cope with how COVID has impacted your finances? And so I've really categorized this into 2 main ways you could cope. The first is the one on top, the dark blue. The first way is to improve your financial wellness. And that really involves understanding NIU's support systems and resources, learning more about financial wellness, or financial literacy as some people call it, and better understand your personal finances and where you are at financially. The second category, so the bottom section that's colored in purple, the next way you could cope is to manage the feelings of loss and stress that have been associated with finances. I mean, anybody who doesn't feel stress around finances, you have a superpower, and I wish I had that. For those of us who don't have that superpower, it can be difficult to manage the stress associated with finances and the loss that may come with it, like unemployment and so forth. So I will share some tips and coping strategies for navigating grief and loss and the stress associated with that. So let's go ahead and get into it. The first section we're going to talk about is how you can improve your financial wellness. And the first thing we're going to look at is understanding the NIU financial systems and resources. So what should you look at? Well, first and foremost, you want to become familiar with the My NIU student portal. If you haven't explored that extensively, or you're not quite sure how to navigate it, go forth and take a look through it. Click on buttons, look things up, make sure you really understand how to navigate through it. Otherwise, you maybe start feeling a sense of overwhelmed when you kind of go in there from time to time. Also, when you're in there, maybe check to see what the student loan area looks like, financial aid and FAFSA. How is that applied? How do you accept loans? And also, make sure you understand the billing and payment processes that are involved for paying for your tuition or other finances. And one of the ways you can learn more about these things, besides exploring the My NIU portal, is to check out the Financial Aid and Scholarship Office and check out their website. They have a lot of resources and just things for you to learn. If you don't know much about financial aid or scholarships, take some time to just explore the website, read, learn, be curious. Same thing with the Office of the Bursar. You could then learn more about how billing and payments and all those kinds of things work out. The Bursar office also has a checklist of deadlines and to-dos for you to follow. I don't recall if it's a checklist for each semester, but I would encourage you to look that up. Some other NIU resources that you should know about. One is just FAFSA, so Federal Student Aid. If you haven't explored that before, take a look at it. Also, check out the Center for Student Assistance. You could check out their website, or you could give them a call and ask them about some financial assistance if you feel like you're starting to be in a tough spot. They're called the Center for Student Assistance for a reason. They're here to help you. If you're having trouble securing basic necessities, especially food, check out NIU Food Pantry. You could then check to see where you could pick up free food donations for you and save some money on food. Speaking of food, you can also check out the Northern Illinois Food Bank. They're an excellent organization, and you can also check through them where you could pick up free donated food. So a lot of what I've been emphasizing is for you to learn more about financial wellness. And so on the screen here, I have a list of a variety of resources that can help you learn more about the various things that encompass being financially well. So the first one is called Financial Literacy for Student Success, and this was created by NIU. And I believe it's specifically for educators, but you can also go through there and take a look at the college and career section There's a lot of great things to read up. Some other great online resources include NerdWallet, Cash Course, College Finance, and Money Geek. I also found that U of I has an excellent financial wellness blog in which one of their professors, who's an expert in economics and finances, writes blog posts every once in a while, and they had some great ones on there. I will tell you that if you are scurrying to write all this stuff down, that I could send you all a list and a link of all of the resources I have been sharing. I'll provide more information about that at the end. Now that you know resources and where to go to learn more about NIU finances and finances in general, now it's time for you to pause and understand your personal finances a little bit more. And this really starts with reflecting on your finances, starting with asking yourself, what's your relationship like with money? Do you find it's positive in that you feel content with your finances? You feel secure, you're content with it, you know where everything is, you understand all of it, and so forth. Or maybe you feel a bit negative with money, stressful, overwhelmed. You feel like it's piling on top of you. It's a lot. Consider where that relationship is and consider where you want to be with your finances. What are you happy with? What are you unhappy with? What do you want to change? And maybe also ask yourself, what do you think that you're doing well with your finances? So start reflecting on those questions first so you can really start to pinpoint what direction you would like to go in. The next thing you want to do is you really want to figure out where you are at with your finances. And these are the main things that you want to look at. So I'm going to go through each of them and share what kind of questions or things you should look at with each of those categories. So in terms of income, you want to ask yourself, how much do you make? How often do you get paid? Do you receive financial aid? How much? When does it get applied? For bank accounts, how many do you have? Do you have a checkings? Do you have a savings? Maybe a joint account. For spending, this is a big one. You should really categorize what basic necessities do you pay for and how much? What about bills, subscriptions, internet, medical bills, rent, so forth? Do you have any debt, loans, credit card payments, so forth? And what other things do you pay for? So shopping, hobbies, vacations, treats, so forth. You really want to get a picture of where you are at financially. In terms of budgeting, do you budget? How could you potentially start a budget? What are your needs and wants when it comes to finances, or what goals do you have? Some other considerations is to consider, how much do you make a week or a month? Are you spending more than you make? Are you saving money right now? Out of these areas, what do you want to improve upon? So to really start to understand your personal finances, you want to outline these things and ask yourself those questions. Now, of course, there is so much technology out there to really help you with those. So I have some helpful apps on the screen right now. The first, when it comes to budgeting, one of the biggest budgeting apps out there is called Mint. Yes, just like the mint candy, if you will. So that one's the most popular one to help with budgeting. There's also EveryDollar and Pocket Guard. I believe all three of those are free. If you have a banking app on your phone, really explore that. A lot of banking apps now have ways to help you budget, make more money, and some graphical representations of what you make and spend each month. You can also create your own Excel spreadsheet. Maybe the apps don't fit how you want to visualize things, or you prefer things more concrete. Create your own spreadsheet and go on Google and search budgeting spreadsheets, and I'm sure you will find some great ones. And in terms of how to maybe save some more money, here are some 3 resources to really check out. The first one is a website that's called Student Beans. And what it is a website that keeps track of all student discounts that are available to college students. So I'd really encourage you to check that one out. There's also an app, which is also a website, called Retail Me Not, and it keeps track of coupons that you can use either in store or online. So almost every time I'm out shopping and I'm waiting in line, I'll pull up Retail Me Not, see if I can find a coupon, and then I save some money when I check out. There's also something called Honey, if you've heard about it before. It's an extension that you download onto your internet browser. So when you're online shopping and you're ready to check out, Honey will check the World Wide Web to see if there's any online codes that it can apply to your cart before you check out. There are so many ways that you could save money, but here are just some ways that technology can help you. So now that we know that when it comes to improving your finances, it really starts with learning about your resources, understanding where you're at, and seeking more information and learning. The next part comes to, well, what if I don't want to do those things yet? Because that's all really stressful. And honestly, I just want to avoid it all because it's a lot. Or, you know, I just became unemployed and I'm just experiencing so much loss right now. I don't know where to start. Well, I have some strategies for you that can help you navigate some of those feelings. And if you are feeling that way, know that you are not alone. Those are very common feelings and experiences, and everybody's on their own journey and how they learn and navigate through their thoughts, feelings, and emotions. So some of the ways that you can navigate through it is to have a sense of acceptance. And for those of you who did join us for our grief and loss webinar, these next couple of slides will look very familiar, but perhaps this time you apply it more to finances. So the first thing that you could do when experiencing a loss related to finances is to have this sense of acceptance. And there truly is a lot of power in acceptance. When we feel that you're not in control of a situation, the best thing you could do is to focus on what you can control and let go of what you can't. And what you can control is the sense of acceptance and how you feel about it. You can also remind yourself that what you're experiencing right now, perhaps unemployment or financial distress, that it is temporary. And the COVID-19 pandemic truly seems never ending. But know that pandemics have happened before and they do come to an end. And so if COVID has impacted your finances, know that it's only temporary and that you will come to a point of acceptance with your finances. And also, perhaps find your own meaning in what this experience is for you and what you've learned from it. That's also something that you can control and remind yourself. The next thing is to manage our thoughts. So when it comes to having thoughts about finances, as I've alluded to, they could be distressing. They could cause anxiety. You could catastrophize situations. Your mind could be racing. You could feel physically tense as a result of your thoughts. But there are things that you can do to help manage those unwanted thoughts. And the first is finding balance with reframing. So When you catastrophize or think of the worst case scenario, your mind is doing that because it's trying to protect you by thinking of and preparing for the worst case. But in reality, this type of thinking actually hurts you. It creates unnecessary amounts of stress and anxiety. And when this does occur, it's easy to try to fight it, that I don't want to think this way. But I would encourage you, don't fight it. Find a balance, find acceptance in this is where my mind is at right now, and that's okay. So, if you think of the negative, try to reframe to something positive. For example, in terms of COVID, we all get a little sick and the world goes on. Not everybody gets sick, but because we're taking necessary precautions like social distancing and wearing a mask, then we're doing the necessary safety precautions. So overall, rather than ignore the negative thoughts, acknowledge them, I'm having a negative thought, and reframe it into something more positive. Something you can also do is focus on the present and be mindful. So, focusing on the moment, being present, and being mindful can help one to calm racing thoughts. Usually, racing thoughts involve thinking of the past or the future. And when we are mindful, we're focusing right here, right now, in the moment. And one of the things that you could do to help to be mindful can be noticing things with your five senses. So, notice the sounds you hear, the sights you see, the clothes on your skin. All of these details can help you to focus on where you are at right there in that moment and not in the future. And it's here in this moment that you realize that you are okay. So a lot of these managing thoughts can really help you to lower distress you may feel about finances before you dive into learning more and exploring those resources. And when you are doing these strategies, truly be kind to yourself. Practice that compassion. Go easy on yourself. Um, Perhaps this is the first time you're learning more. Give yourself a break. You will figure this out and show yourself the same kindness that you show others. So something that can also help us to experience loss or negative feelings is to name it and feel it, meaning say it out loud. And so something that I always like to state when it comes to grief and loss is the first italicized sentence at the top, which states, if it is part of the human experience, it's mentionable, meaning you could talk about it. If it's mentionable, then it's manageable. So if we could talk about it, then we can manage it. We could get through it. And so know that grief is a human experience. So it's manageable and you will be able to get through it. And so that's why talking about it can really bring you power. It can help you to acknowledge and to feel. It's interesting that sometimes just saying it out loud can bring it more to life and can truly help you out. So if you're feeling stressed, simply say it out loud. I am stressed. I am feeling X, Y, and Z, and I'm thinking A, B, and C. Start there. And perhaps you could start there when you connect with others and you talk to people. So connecting with others like your support systems or asking for help can all really help you to further connect with yourself and to experience some of those thoughts and feelings that you are having. And so the last area that I wanted to talk about is specifically unemployment and the loss and feelings associated with that. And one of the main strategies that you can use to navigate those feelings, besides what I previously stated, is to reflect on your career intentions, meaning where do you want your career to be? Take this time that you have to really think about that, about who you want to be and what you want to do. So the first thing is to find purpose and meaning, because a job, a career, that's what it really provides us, a sense of purpose and meaning. So ask yourself, what are your values? What do you want to accomplish? How would you describe your passions? How would you define what you would like your purpose in life to be? Taking that time to really identify that can really help you to find that sense of purpose again when we don't have a job. You also want to look at a self-esteem aspect of a career, such as what makes you feel accomplished, what type of work makes you feel proud and confident, what work makes you feel good, or what work actually makes you feel bad about yourself. I mean, that would truly indicate that type of stuff is not the job for me. So not only does a career provide you purpose and meaning, it truly helps your self-esteem. So identifying and asking yourself these questions can help to increase your self-esteem. And jobs also provide us with basic needs. So ask yourself, when it comes to a job, what basic needs are you looking for? A mentor, connection with a sense of community, what type of environment would you want to work in? What would the culture look like? Do you prefer to work alone or with a group? So forth. So these are some things that you could do to provide yourself that a job would normally provide for you. So I have some final tips for you today, and that pretty much wraps up our presentation. So my first final tip is talk to your support systems. If you feel comfortable, ask your supports about some financial advice. Ask them how they budget, or if they've been in a tough situation financially or have had to pay for college before, ask them what they've done. And if you feel comfortable, share what you're experiencing and some of your finances. About a week ago, I spoke to one of my family members about financial wisdom because, as I alluded to, I'm not a financial expert. I have my own financial distress and a lot of financial learning myself. So I spoke to them for a while and it was really, really helpful. So I would encourage you to do the same. The next one is to take action. If you're a procrastinator like myself, it can be really hard to start things that are distressing. And so I don't want you to, what Nike says, just do it. Essentially, it's all about just getting started. So ask yourself, what small step can you do today to be more financially well? And maybe even attending this presentation was that tiny step. Just start considering how can you just get started and take action. The next would be get organized. So before we talked about all the aspects of your personal finance to think about, so I would encourage you to compile your financial records, all your loan information if you have loans, or credit card information, banking stuff, and stay on top of it. Make sure you know when to update it, when to look at it, and keep up with it. Reduce to save. So check to see in your finances, where can you reduce some of that spending so you could save some more money, especially in emergency situations, if you will, such as being a pandemic. You never know when you might need to use some of your savings. So perhaps take some time to see where you could save some more money. Plan and set goals. So what are your financial goals? Do you have any? If not, take some time to consider that and maybe consider how it aligns with your overall goals in life. Just as I've emphasized this throughout the presentation, truly keep learning. Always keep learning about things that you're curious about, and that can really help your overall well-being. Perhaps becoming more financially well will truly be able to help other areas of your well-being. Which reminds me, the last tip I have is really take care of yourself. If you take care of yourself, then your overall well-being can improve, and perhaps tackling some of these personal finance things could be a bit easier for you. That's all for today's presentation, but I do want to tell you about an event that we have coming up on this Wednesday. It's our last event of the semester. It's our wellness expert panel called Being Well When the World Ain't Swell. So come join us for our virtual panel discussion where you can ask our wellness experts any wellness questions that you would like to know. So you could check out the webinar link, which is on NIU calendar, and we hope to see you there. Last but not least, if you could please take the survey that I just put in the chat. Your survey responses really help us to learn about how we could better improve these presentations and to see what we could do next semester. Other than that, please take our survey, and if you have any questions, feel free to hang around. If you'd like that list of resources I mentioned, go ahead and put your email in the meeting chat and I could send those links out to you because there's quite a few. But I'll be hanging out if you need anything. Otherwise, thank you for attending and I hope you have a really good night.